is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Friday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live a little bit early in the Primetime Radio studios. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinny Parisi at pucksandpitchforks.com, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network, as it's very icy here in beautiful New Jersey. But the Devils are going to take on the Chicago Blackhawks in Chicago. Our good friend and co-host of the Let's Go Devils podcast is in Chicago. I'm not talking about you, Vinny. I'm talking about Chico Resch. I'm just kidding around. And you're in Chicago. You're going to meet up with Chico later. He's a real hoot, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Chico Resch since I was little, so getting to meet him in person today will be a true honor. I've spoken to him many times via now text messaging. This podcast has been a dream come true, so excited to meet Chico, excited to see the Devils in person for the first time in over 2 years. I mean, the last time I saw the Devils in person, I believe Hischier and Hughes were injured, or they were out for some, I don't even remember the exact scenario. I think Hischier might have been playing, but Hughes wasn't playing. It was their trip to Chicago in 2019. So it's been a while. And I'm very excited to see him in person. Dougie Hamilton is back. Yesterday when Dawson Mercer went down for half a second, I was like, no, I really want to see the whole team intact as much as possible. And then he got up and was fine. And then, it's all good. No injuries to report outside of the goaltenders. So I'm excited to see the boys in Chicago, the United Center. For all the BS that's gone on with the Blackhawks in the last 10 years now that we've come to find out through the grapevine and all that stuff and early in the season. Outside of that, which, it's hard to say outside of that because it's so serious, but the United Center is awesome. It's a great place to watch a hockey game, and I'm excited to see the Devils there. It should be a great time.
Yeah, and you know what? It's exciting time. See, I called up the Devils and said, hey, when you guys go to Chicago, come rolling in after winning a 6-1 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins and get all the guys healthy that you can. And Dougie's like, all right, well, I'll find a helmet. I'll start playing because I want to do my best in front of Vinny Parisi tonight.
I mean, I would want to do that. I would want to do that if I were them, and I'm being dead serious. I love hyping up the team. I hate talking bad about, the Devils. The people online get so mad at me for, cheering for my favorite team. I mean, it's such a weird little corner of Devils Twitter that, hates their own team. But, I understand the frustration, but at the same time, I'm rooting for it to get better. I want Hischier to be the 3-point throw up a 3-point performance and show that he's a star. I want Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt to follow his lead. I'm not saying those things because I'm stupid. I want the Devils to be good. And so when they win 6-1 over the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm going to be excited about it, especially when the reason that they won is because their young netminder that's in his 5th NHL game made 37 saves on 38 shots. Their captain and number 1 overall pick a couple years ago had 3 points, a goal, and 2 assists. Jack Hughes, their other number 1 overall pick, had 3 assists when he was, he comes down from his goal-scoring tear a little bit, and he just racks up 3 assists. Jesper Bratt, he comes back into the lineup a little healthier than he once was, and boom, 3 minutes into the game, the Devils are up 2-0 because of efforts from Jesper Bratt, and then he picked up another apple later in the game. That's what we want to see. Dougie Hamilton only played, what did he have, 15 minutes of ice time or something like that? That'll pick up.
Actually, I think 19 minutes. I think
did it get up to 19 minutes? Did it get up to okay? That's still low for him. That's still low for him. But that'll pick up as he asserts himself back into the lineup again. Graves seemed to be just all defensive yesterday. He had really no input on the offense whatsoever. No shot attempts or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that might change tonight. Maybe Graves will be their most impressive defenseman in the offensive zone tonight. He's shown signs of being a shooting machine from, game to game. So we'll see what happens. But I like some of the players on this team, and people despise me for it. I just don't understand. I
don't get it either because, you know me. for about 10 weeks there, I went on a rant about this team, even taking shots at David Blitzer at times. And now it's all good now. It's all under water under the bridge. Because, I was telling Scotty after Devils After Dark that how it all came about, where I changed my mind about this whole organization in a matter of like about 2 weeks ago. And I started to write positive things, positive blogs. You're more into that. You do that kind of work. Me, I just write whatever's on my mind. And it's amazing the negativity that comes out when you actually write something positive about the New Jersey Devils. It's funny because fans, it's like you can't satisfy Devils fans. They complain that there's no coverage. So when you give them what they want, they complain that you're being too positive, that you're out of your mind. I mean, I had somebody direct message me, Sam, are you okay? Is everything all right? What, for writing something positive? Are you kidding me? It's weird. But if I write something negative, then fans complain that you hate the team. You can't even win in the blogosphere or even in the podcasting world.
Yeah, no, you can't. Last year, Pavel Zacha had a good year on like the naked eye level. Like he scored lots of goals and had some assists.
Yeah.
But I thought he still had a bad year. He didn't impress me. He was scoring goals. There were some garbage goals. He was good on the power play. He's a great penalty killer. But there were a lot of times where I was just like, okay, his value's through the roof, trade him. And people were on me for that. And I was like, I'm supposed to be the positive guy. You guys are all calling me Mr. Negativity because I think you should trade Pavel Zacha last year. And lo and behold, I've kind of been proven right. Zacha's been mediocre at best this year. And, they could have got something for him. Now, exactly. And it happens in every sport. Like, hey, this guy's on this trajectory. Maybe we should trade him now. Like, you could have made an argument for trading McLeod last year. Now, McLeod as a fourth-line center, win faceoffs, muck it up a little bit, and then contribute some offense here and there. Maybe you don't trade McLeod, depending on the package back. But when it comes to someone like Nico, who I understand the anti-advanced stats community because some of those advanced stats really do paint a picture through rose-colored glasses. Okay, they make guys who really they're not doing anything. They make them look better than they are. Okay, I understand that. Pavel Zacha kind of sometimes falls into an example of that. But when it comes to someone like Nico, who was a number 1 overall pick because he just dominated the QMJHL, he almost single-handedly beat Team USA, who had like McAvoy and Seth Jones and all that kind of, like they were sick, and Heischer almost single-handedly beat them. And then they come through. I don't think Seth Jones was on that team. I take that back. But either way, Team USA pulls through in the end, but Heischer dominated, number 1 overall pick, 50 points in his rookie year, helped Taylor Hall win the MVP. Hall has not been the same since leaving Heischer. Now that he's back with he's playing with Pasternak now in Boston, all of a sudden Hall has like some of the highest offensive numbers in the leagues in the past like 20 games. Hall likes to have some help too. And Heischer is just now starting to come around. He's going to hit 20 goals. He will score 6 goals between now and the end of the season. So it's going to be his second 20-goal season. And that's also that's going to be his second full season. And he had 20 goals in both of them. He probably will eclipse 55, 60 points, which is great. He might come rather close to that. Jack Hughes is right there, but Jack Hughes has played significantly less games. So we know Jack is better offensively than Nico. But, I mean, give these guys a chance, man. They're 21, 22, 23 years old. When he shares 28, he's going to be unstoppable. I believe that from the bottom of my heart.
I think Heischer will, by the time he hits fully into his prime, and I'm going to make a statement here, that he's going to be one of those players where it's almost automatic that if something, because he is the captain and the leader, and he leads by example at times, we've seen in his young career where when you need that goal to stop the bleeding, he will score it almost immediately. We've seen that happen in his career where the Devils would be down suddenly 3-0, and then here comes Hischier with 2 quick goals, and suddenly it's a game. And even though the Devils don't even deserve to be in the conversation in the competition, of that game, it's Hischier that somehow has that ability to will himself to get where the Devils need to be. And I don't understand the criticism. Zacha, I would say that I would agree with you with your assessment last year. The only problem was I like his size, but here's the other side of the coin on his size. I don't think he really uses it effectively. I really don't, and that's why I think he should be on the trading block, because if you're not giving us multiple scoring, consistent scoring, and you're not using your size, I'd rather have somebody else take a spot at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. You got to play to your size. Like we just saw Zach Parise score his 400th career goal yesterday. Did I say 500th? 400th career goal yesterday. He's 5'11". Like he plays bigger than he is. Like if Zacha had Parise's tenacity, he'd score 30 with ease. I believe that. And the thing about Hischier, you brought up like some of his more clutch moments. Go back and watch some highlights, people, from the Stanley Cup playoff series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hischier was their second best player behind Hall. He dominated play against that Lightning team who was awesome. So that's my thoughts on the thing. I think the Devils, they're bad. They're not going to make the playoffs. They probably won't even come within 15 points of the playoffs. Goaltending's a major issue. I like the offense going forward. Bratt has proven he can play with Hischier or Hughes. He's been successful with both. In year one, he was a top 10 Calder Trophy nominee with playing on a line with Hischier and Hall. Last year and the year before he played with Hughes was awesome. Started this year with Mercer, was awesome. Jesper Bratt's doing what he can do with no matter who his centerman is. So then you start thinking about Hughes and Hischier's other wings going forward. I like sharing Govich with Bratt and Hughes personally. Bratt played with Hischier last game. When Alexander Holtz is ready for the NHL, that's who I would put on a line with Nico. Because Alexander Holtz, he's probably can drive offense maybe a little better than Nico, but maybe not. But they can feed off each other, where Hughes is going to make everybody else around him better. So if you put someone like Bratt with him, who could also make everybody else around them better, it could be one of the better top lines in the Metropolitan Division. So that's where I'm kind of at with the whole scoring thing. I like these guys.
I'm still on the fence about Yegor Sharangovich. He's doing well right now. But, it's almost like I want to see more of a multi-dimensional game out of Sharangovich, because he plays extremely well with Jack Hughes. No doubt that Jack Hughes gets the most out of Sharangovich. But at the same time, I like to see him be more, again, not so one-dimensional with Jack Hughes. I like to see him play with other line mates. But he's scoring right now. Okay, that's good. But, again, I'm confident that the top 6 is going to be really good in 2 years, like really, really good. I think the bottom 6, I think the fourth line is, once you get Miles Wood back, I think you really have to work on that third line. You need a shutdown line at this point. A line that can really, so you don't exhaust the top 6 in those big minutes. You need a reliable veteran presence on that third line to shut the opponent down when you're up 3-2, or trying to kill off penalties. Usually it's the checking guys that are on there. The checking line guys are on there. Defensively, most likely PK Subban will not be a New Jersey Devil before trade deadline or by the end of the season. I can't imagine Tom Fitzgerald not trading PK so he can go win a cup like he did with Travis Zajac and Paul Mary. But then again, you don't know what PK wants. Would he want to stay in New Jersey? But it's going to be at the right price. But defensively, we've got, the Devils have got a lot of prospects coming up. And I think the one thing that needs to happen, and Tom Fitzgerald needs to be careful when he's evaluating these players. You need the young kids, even though they've made it to the Devils. That AHL Utica Comets, you want to breed winning. You want to make winners. You want them to get the taste of winning together as a team and learn that at the AHL level. So when they come to the NHL level and the Devils are starting to make a push to actually clinch a playoff spot, they've already had that experience. One example, 1995, the River Rats and the Devils both won their championships in those years. And even Chico Resch had said that Patrick Elias got that experience, on a winning team at the AHL level with the Albany River Rats that transcended when he came up to the Devils in 97, 98. So you really have to, again, I don't want to act like David Blitzer, but you got to be patient with that with the process because it's there, but you just can't rush it. You really just can't rush it. Hockey is a game of chemistry, and chemistry, you just can't buy it or just say, okay, put a couple lines together because the advanced stats or whatever analytics says blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't work that way. And that's where I think Lindy Ruff is going to really thrive, is because he has that experience with Chris Drury or Danny Briere or Drew Stafford when he had, some pretty tough guys on that Buffalo team. And he had a pretty good mobile defenseman to move the puck, and Ryan Miller in goal. But, Tom Fitzgerald has to evaluate, but he also wants to progress in getting that winning mindset to end the season, both AHL and NHL teams.
Yeah, you want to see both sides, improve and the right players come along and develop. And we were talking about Sharon Govich and playing with Hughes. Sharon Govich makes his money because he's got a very good shot and he's got a nose for the net. He can make a pass or two. Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt and guys like that are perfectly capable of taking advantage of Sharon Govich in other ways too. But his bread and butter is his shot. And someone like Jack Hughes, who is a very good playmaker, can get the most out of him, as you said. But let us not forget where Sharon Govich came from. During COVID-19, when the pandemic was at its height, and that summer rolled through and things started to get a little better, the bubble came. After the bubble was over, we had no hockey other than what was going on overseas. And every single day on Twitter, every other day it seemed, there was a highlight of Sharon Govich just racking up points overseas, right? This was after the Lightning won the cup in the bubble, and that was really the only hockey we had, was that overseas stuff. And Sharon Govich was on fire, and the Devils people started to be like, Sharon Govich is scoring a crap ton of goals over there. Maybe he will have a chance to make this team. Some moderate Devils fans might have not even known who he was. I had him, and I'm a weirdo. I'm obsessed with the Devils. Stuff like that. I had him in tier 5 of my prospect pyramid. 5. And then he comes to the Devils and is one of their leading goal scorers that season. So sometimes not every high pick is going to work. Zacha and McLeod aren't what we thought they would be when they drafted them. They're still NHL players. But Jesper Bratt, 6th round. Sharon Govich, I forget what round, but it wasn't top 5 rounds. He came out of nowhere. You land someone like Dougie Hamilton. Nico Dawes and Mackenzie Blackwood we'll see what happens with them in terms of goaltending. Blackwood's hurt all of a sudden, big hurt. But the process is the process. It stings. They haven't been very good in a long time. They had that one-off year, and it was a bad team carried to the playoffs by the MVP. That's not really much more to say than that, other than as this season progresses, let's watch some of these guys and hope that the right players are the ones contributing the most. And we saw that in a game against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, and beating the Penguins is pretty impressive. They did try to mount a charge. Nico Dawes made some timely saves. They had that one goal, on the rush, on Pittsburgh's power play. But special teams, I thought, was good overall. It's something to build on. It wasn't perfect, but it was good overall. You go 2 for 5 on the power play.
Sorry to interrupt. Every now and then, Evgeny Malkin is going to score a goal assisted by Sidney Crosby against you. Like, that's going to happen.
Yeah. But you were able to shut down the rest of the team, and that's what's important. And then going into Chicago, the second half of a back-to-back, you're going to have to get your legs on and play hard tonight. But I think right now there is a sense of urgency amongst the players that every scout's watching, the Devils are watching, moves are going to be made, and everybody's trying to put their best foot forward right now. And we're going to see some very good hockey. But at the same time, it's kind of like a buy low, sell high type trade market. That's the economics of it. What if Pavel Zacha gets hot? Do you trade him when his stock is high? Or do you believe that he's long-term with the New Jersey Devils? And again, it's Tom Fitzgerald only knows the answers to those questions. And I'm thinking right now, Vinny, the most important thing, I'm not looking at wins and losses right now. I'm looking it's can this team mesh together and put a good streak together? And in the face of adversity, if there's another 2 or 3 game losing streak, could they stop the bleeding instead of letting it get out of control where it's almost like they've lost their 17 out of the last 19 games? And this is a young team, and people forget that, and they're not built to right now they're figuring things out. But once they do, I think we'll see the Devils be just fine in a couple of years.
Yes, I agree. The young guys are stepping up. We're seeing guys like Heischer and Hughes. They're going to get into the 20s for goals, I would think. And for Hughes, that's extra impressive because he missed all that time. Hughes will probably I don't know if it's too late for him to catch Bratt for the scoring lead, only because Bratt is also going to continue to score. But I like this core. I like where it's going. I like the potential that it has. I will admit that I'm wrong if in 5 years they don't ever get beyond being 50-point players.
Don't forget that Muhammad Doolin is coming, hopefully. Actually, I wanted to ask you, off the record and off air, how this KHL player transfer is going to work, given what's going on, the world events going on. I don't know, but let's assume that he comes to the Devils. Alexander Holtz, we've seen glimpses of him at the NHL level. Let him have success. Let him learn how to win at the AHL level. The other guy that we kind of forgot talking about is Chase Stillman. I talked about the third line guy. He seems like one of those energy guys where he could be on the third and fourth line. And though I got to tell you, the checking line, if you remember John Madden and Jay Pandolfo and Sergei Brylin, they were probably one of the most underrated players in the NHL. Because, Jack Hughes can score 2 goals, but these guys prevent 2 goals. It's the same thing. And you just don't see it visually, other than they play great defense or they shut down the opposition. And, all that stuff, again, those advanced stats and all that, it doesn't really show. And one of the other things, too, is have you noticed Nathan Bastian just doing an amazing job in front of that crease? And it's not just happening every once in a while. It's almost happening every game. I see his butt parked in front of the crease, and he's trying to redirect that puck, and the goalies are having trouble seeing around him.
Yeah, Seattle letting him go is one of the great mysteries to me because of what you just mentioned. Last night, even against the Penguins, he had that chance alone right in front, and I can't remember if it was Jari or DeSmith at that point because Jari got pulled. But, I mean, Nathan Bastian's awesome. He's not going to be a star player. He's not scoring 35 goals and having, 25 assists to be a 60-point man. No, that's just not going to happen. But what they can get from Bastian is 15 to 20 goals, prevent the other team from creating chances regularly on a good line with McLeod. He has chemistry with McLeod. There's no doubt about it. And, if Miles Wood came back into the fold, I think you'd see a whole new Nathan Bastian too, because Miles Wood is so fast and so hard to beat in the low corners that if he wins half of those puck battles and finds the front of the net with Bastian there, he's going to cash in a little bit. So I'm very much looking forward to what Miles Wood can bring to Nathan Bastian's game as well.
Yeah, and again, it's not like we're being a bunch of fanboys and all that. You watch the replays. It's number 14 sitting in front of the crease. I think, I think Chico mentioned this on the State of the Fan address about Bastian, that Seattle really never had a plan for him. They didn't put him in a position for success. I think, and it's not that Seattle was negligent. They just built a brand new franchise. You've got 22 brand new players in the same position being drafted and finally playing together. And Bastian would not be on top on that depth chart because he's a role player. He has a specific role, on the team. So when he came back to the Devils, it showed the mutual interest that they never wanted him to leave, but the business is business. You got to leave some unprotected, and now he's flourishing. It's as if he never left, and I think this is a good thing, And Bastian will never take any shift for granted. That experience will always. He wanted to be a Devil. Unfortunately, the business side got out of the way, but now he's a Devil bat. I think it's a good thing. And I'll tell you what, if the Devils can get a couple more beefy guys like Patrick Maroon, some of these guys are willing to come to New Jersey on this young team, knowing that, hey, in 3 or 5 years from now, this could be an elite team. I think it would do the Devils a world of good if this offseason they're able to get those type of role players on this team, because that's what's lacking.
Yes, I agree. You replace someone like Tatar with someone like Maroon, and the team is instantly better. And I'm not saying Maroon guaranteed.
Look at what Brian Boyle did in that 1 year when the Devils made the playoffs. I mean,
look what he's doing with Pittsburgh right now. They didn't win up. Pittsburgh hasn't been all that successful in the postseason since winning the Cup in 2017. They've been one and done every year, pretty much. I think they had one series win in that span, but they got smoked in the bubble by Montreal. They lost last year. They're, and Brian Boyle this year has them near the top of the Metro. It's not his fault. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Letang, Jari, they've all been awesome. Gensel. But I don't think it's a coincidence that Brian Boyle joined that team and all of a sudden the Penguins are elevated back to where they once were. So
I'm telling you, you need to have the right guys in the locker room. You really do, because some players may not show up on the stat sheet, but they make the entire team better. Yeah. Just their presence alone. Look what Dougie Hamilton did yesterday. His presence alone, he didn't get the most minutes. He's not on PP1, but it seemed like just everybody played better. Even if you go in history of sports, like Joe Montana. Joe Montana, to me, again, I still think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And the reason why, it's not because of the skill. It's not because of the stats. It just seems like anytime he would come off of the injury list and he's on the roster, everybody plays better. Even the kicker kicks more accurate. And you just don't know why. It is what it is. Some players are in the locker room. They have the ability to push you as far as you can go. One player in mind, Bill Clement, told me this story years ago, saying that during the Stanley Cup Finals, he injured his knee, and he thought he was out for the Stanley Cup Finals. No, the series before, he injured his knee, and he thought he was going to be out for the Stanley Cup Finals. And it was Bobby Clark, the captain, came up to Bill as he's looking at his swollen knee, can't even walk. And Bobby Clark's like, "Hey, Bill, your health comes first, but we need you, man. We really need you. But I don't want to tell you." And Bill's like, "That, because they need me, being part of the team, he was able to play and actually score in the Stanley Cup Finals on a really, really, bad leg." And sometimes, and some players just, now Bobby Clark's a Hall of Fame player, but there are a lot of players like Brian Boyle or, like Nathan Bastian, like guys that, they play a specific role and everybody just plays better. And I think that's something that's not, it's almost like nobody talks about it anymore because there's no metric on it. The advanced stats guys, and actually I talked to Chico Rush about this, and I was like, you know what they need? Because, Chico and I are on the same length about analytics. You know what they need? Instead of analytics, what football has is the all Madden team. We should have the all Woo team. Because it's there are certain guys that you would never think, to put in the all-star game, but they play a specific role that plays hard, makes everybody better, and has that Patrice Bergeron mentality where, okay, broken leg, bruised ribs, collapsed lung, but I'm playing game 6 and 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And the Devils, they're going to work to find those guys, and I believe they will.
And just remember, there's a guy named Ken Danico that got his number retired. I didn't see him on the stat sheets. There's a reason why he had his number retired, because he was the glue of that whole defense. He really was the heart and soul of the team.
He was called Mr. Devil for a reason. Yeah.
All right, Vinny, you know this Chicago Blackhawks team better than me. We're doing this podcast a little early today because of scheduling conflicts, because I want you to enjoy your time at the game. I want you to enjoy your time with Chico Rush. I want you to enjoy your time with the people that you're going with. But who's going to win today?
Yeah, so Chicago's an interesting team. I do cover them for a living, believe it or not, in addition to covering the Devils. So they are not very good, the Blackhawks. They have more points than the Devils, but I think the Devils are better. I'd rather be the Devils than the Blackhawks any day of the week, because the Blackhawks have their bread buttered with Marc-Andre Fleury, unrestricted free agent, 38 years old. Patrick Kane, 1.5 years left on his deal, 33 years old. Jonathan Taves is out with a concussion. Seth Jones is amazing, $9 million a year for the next 8 years, starting next year. Not even this year, next year. Alex DeBrincat, outstanding all-star. He is also have a year and a half left on his deal. A year and a half left on his deal. Then next year, he's going to have to get paid, and he's going to be looking 8, 9, 10 mil if he keeps potting 45 goals a season. And it's not because of Patrick Kane that DeBrincat's scoring all these goals. I can promise you that much. So it's a tough team to cover and, for Chicago fans to cheer for right now. But they do present a challenge to you on the ice today because of the fact that they have Fleury, Kane, DeBrincat, Jones, Brandon Hagel's awesome. So I think there's going to be a lot of goals. This is a game featuring 4 of the great American players in our game right now: Hughes, Kane, Jones, and DeBrincat. that will make up a good portion of Team USA the next time there's a best on best. And I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be very high scoring. I have the Devils beating the Blackhawks by a final score of 7-5.
Wow.
Bet the over.
Wow. Do we even know who's going to be the starting goaltender tonight?
No, but I assume if I had to guess, Chicago hasn't played since Sunday. They had their bye. And so I assume they're going to roll out Fleury and then do Lankinen, who just they activated off of injured reserve yesterday. I believe they'll roll Lankinen tomorrow against the Blues. And then it's either the Blues or the Stars. I can't remember. And the Devils will probably roll with Gillies.
Yeah. I'd say they give Nico another shot tonight. But who knows?
38 saves, though. He had a large workload yesterday. It's not like he had a 20 save, easy peasy lemon squeezy win. Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Jesper Bratt each had 3 points yesterday. They're like the talking points of the game for the most part. They don't win without Nico Dawes yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Penguins would have won 7-6 if Dawes was average.
Also, Sharon Govich will play his 100th game, NHL game today. So, but one last question, Info Guy 1978. I know the answer to it, but I want you to answer it, Vinny. Vinny, you are from Chicago. How did you become a New Jersey Devils fan?
Yeah, it's a stupid little story. When I was a kid, I'm watching SportsCenter one time, and it was the game where they were playing Montreal in Montreal. I believe they were tied 1-1 or 2-2, and I think they were killing a penalty. There was 5-on-4 or 4-on-3 in overtime. Brodeur swept aside a Scott Gomez shot. Scott Gomez was on the Habs at the time. He swept away a Gomez shot. Travis Zajac found it in the corner, flipped it over the middle of the ice. Parisi caught it because he broke his stick. Zach broke his stick, killing the penalty. He ran to the bench to get another one. And in the meantime, Zajac found the puck in the corner. He flipped it up. Parisi caught it, scored an overtime game-winning goal. Devils win in Montreal. And same last name, sick play. Looked up his stats. He's top 5 in the league in scoring. I think it was, at the time, it was Ovechkin, Carter, Parisi for the top scorers in the league. So that's how the story happened.
Wow. Well, that's great, Vinny.
You could look up the goals. Type in Zach Parisi. Type in Zach Parisi overtime goal versus Montreal. It'll come up. I think Doc freaked out, and Chico freaked out too. Oddly enough, I'm gonna meet him tonight. That's bizarro world. But it'd be like,
Doc screams
like,
you and I haven't met in person. Chico's gonna meet you before I do in person. That's gonna be really funny.
That is true.
That's the internet world, my friends. That's the internet world. Speaking of the internet world, pucksandpitchforks.com. Go there, read up. Nick's like, I can't put your article up because there's just so many damn good articles to put up today. You'll be on Saturday, Sam. I was like, all right, that's fine. That's fine. I'll remember that next time. The next time we're on the podcast, be like, oh, we got too many darn podcasts, Nick. Can't have you on. No, I'm just kidding around. But yeah, go to pucksandpitchforks.com. Great Devils content. Also, if you're in Chicago, one more question, Vinny. What's the best place to eat before the game?
That's a tough one. All right, I'll give one quick recommendation, just kind of off the wall, because I could easily say like Giordano's or Lou Malnati's, go try the deep dish, and then Tavern Style. Those are the two best kinds of pizza in Chicago. Tavern Style is like the thin crust, but they cut it into squares instead of triangles. It's a little unique to the rest of the country, but I like that kind of pizza. So Giordano's or Lou Malnati's are like the generic answers. If you're willing to plug into your GPS, there's a place not far from the United Center called Cheesy's. They have like gourmet grilled cheese sandwiches, and I'm talking like sandwiches that have all sorts of crazy bacon, jalapenos, mac and cheese, like the works on these grilled cheese sandwiches. So Cheesy's is my recommendation of a place to get a great grilled cheese sandwich before heading to the United Center. Good drinks, too.
Well, somebody posted online, and someone said Giordano's. So I just wrote Cheesies.
Both work.
Yeah. All righty. Well, Vinny, it was a pleasure. Got to get out of here. Going to drop the podcast in about 20 minutes. So look out for that on your icy ride. I got to get out of here. Devils After Dark, maybe Devils After Dark. It could go on probably at maybe midnight Eastern. Not sure yet. But enjoy the game, everybody. And Vinny, start talking some smack tonight and say hello to Chico for me, all right?
Will do. Let's go Devils. Happy Devils Friday, everyone.
Yep. Happy Devils Friday. This is Game Day Live. Let's go Devils.